Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you my free GSAP Animation Tool and how to use it for a real-world application where you have a folder. If you click on the folder, then the paper opens up and the folder moves down. Just to show some additional information, but also to show you how to just apply this GSAP animation to several things all at one time and how you would kind of figure that out as well. There's a couple of challenges that will happen as we go through the GSAP and okay, how do we get this to time up well? How do we get this to bounce if we want different things like that? So that's what I want to work through today. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in here. And if you want to check out the free tool, just go into the apps and it's the first option right here, GSAP Animation Tool. And this will take you to the animation tool. You can sign up for a free account, doesn't cost you anything, and you can create all of these different code snippets and save the snippets for later use as well. So let's dive into Storyline and show you exactly what we'll be working with here. And there's a couple different layers to kind of get this effect. And so we have this important files here. We also have a paper that will animate up. But then we have this folder, the front folder. We have this back folder as well. That front folder, let me go ahead and hide it so you can see that it has some information. So it's almost like a detective case or something like that, where it has some information about some historic person. So this is essentially just a simple little interaction to allow the learner to click on this to see more, however you want to do it. And what we want to do is animate the folder, both the top folder and the bottom folder down while this kind of animates up. And the reason why I split these into two, so it looks like the paper is in front of the back one and behind the front one here, in order for it to look like it's coming out of the actual folder. So you kind of have to work with it that way. Whatever's going to go behind, you have to cut it and so forth. Now these you can find on Icon Duck, the images you can find on Icon Duck, the paper I created myself, the person I think I grabbed from like a stock library or something like that. So you can create that. Now, one thing to keep in mind is I did place all of this text and image into a state. So if you go into state, I placed it all there just so I can animate it all. And you could do it as a group too, but so I can animate it all up and animate it all down. Okay, so that's kind of how I set it up. Now what we want to do is we want to figure out where exactly these are going to go, because we're going to animate up and down. We're going to animate the folder down, the paper up. So we're animating across the Y value. Y goes up and down, X goes across. We're animating up and down, which is the Y value. Y goes up and down, X goes across. So we want to figure out exactly where in the Y each of these objects are going to go. What I typically do, let me go ahead and minimize this. What I typically do is I just move this down to the point exactly where I want it to go. And then I notate. So I come into here under the Format tab with this selected. I go in here and I just notate 488. So I'm going to copy that and paste this into a note. So let's say this is the bottom and that one is going to be 488. So now let's do the top. Where is the top going to end up? So with that kind of in place, what we could do is move this. And so it's exactly flush with the other one. And I want to make sure there's no spaces. And then I'll just go ahead and just take a note of that. So 373. Now I can Control Z to go back as well. So I'm just kind of notating of where I want this to end up. And I want this to animate up enough to where I can see all of the text. Do this a little bit more. There we go. So now I'll notate it is set to 15. So paper is set to 15. It takes a little bit of a kind of a setup and figure out and notating of things to make this, just make your life easier. I mean, you could just kind of guess, but just to make your life easier, it's a whole lot better if you do that. So now all I have to do is do a Control Z until I get back to the state that I was at before. Now, because I kind of nudged this paper a couple of times, that's why it's taken a while to go. I did Control Z a couple extra times, but you can see now it's looking good. So now we're ready to go in and start to animate this. Now we want to execute the JavaScript when the person clicks on the folder. So if they click on the folder here, then it's going to animate in and out. I'm going to go ahead and just come into my GSAP Builder tool. Now the reason why I'm not doing the AI Assistant beta for animation is because I'm getting exact amounts. And I am controlling the easing and things like that. And also, I think the GSAP animation with the AI assistant, it doesn't use GSAP. It uses another or just the standard animation, which is fine. But I actually think the GSAP animation allows you to control things a little bit better. That's my bias, and so that's why I'm going to use this. All right, so I'm going to come into here, and what we need to do is also grab the IDs for each of them. So I'm going to copy or right click and copy the first one. And because we have our note, let's just go ahead and just paste in the ID right there. And so let's right click on the top one, copy the ID for that one, and I'll just paste in the ID right there. And then I will copy the ID for the paper, and then I will paste it in right there. So we have our IDs because that's how we target objects and talk to objects in the GSAP tool. And the GSAP tool will ask us for that as well. So I'm going to come in and in this GSAP tool, I will just copy in, let's worry about the first one so far. And let's copy in the ID, the object ID, and let's name this one bottom folder. Make sure that there's no spaces there. I'm not going to save this because I have to have 3 different codes for each of them. So I'm just going to copy and paste each of them here. You can save each one if you wanted to. So I'm just going to go ahead and use it as is here. All right, so now we go into the Y position, and this is where we come back and do 488. Make sure that we're animating 2 because at the start it's going to be where it is now, and it's going to animate 2. And so I'm going to go ahead and animate 2, the 488. So that's all we need to do, but there is a problem. I'm going to go ahead and copy this real quick, and I'm going to paste this inside of an execute JavaScript. So this will be the first thing that I do. I'm going to select this drop-down box and then do execute JavaScript, and then I will paste that inside of here. So it's going to move down. But the problem I won't actually be able to see until I've done both the top and bottom folder. So let's go ahead and do that. We're actually going to come back to this code here in a second, but we're going to do this as soon as the learner not clicks on the paper, but clicks on the bottom folder. So it's going to execute that JavaScript, and I will go ahead and click OK. Again, I'm going to come back to that here in a second. But let's do the next one, which the next one is going to be the ID for the top. So we're going to change this out and do the ID for the top, and this will be top folder. And then instead of 488, we're going to do 373. Now I'm just overwriting it because each of these kind of need to be their separate, because they're going in different positions, they need to be separate code. So I'll hit copy here, and I will go ahead and just put this on the same trigger, but I can bring it down a couple lines, and there we go. So we have the bottom folder going to this, we have the top folder going to this line of code here. I'll show you exactly what the problem is here. And this has to do with easing and initial easing, because when you animate something, even though you haven't applied any type of easing, it still has easing to begin with, unless you define it to not have any easing. And because there's easing on both of them, we get a little separation of the 2 objects, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like here. Okay, so here's our folder. We can go ahead and click on the folder. And I don't see it too much, but I have seen it in the past where if you click on that, it then separates it for a second. If you ever do see that, which in this case I didn't, but if you ever do see that, what you would need to do is come into the timing here and under easing, select none. That adds an easing none, and then you copy that code and paste it in. Or you can just add a comma, ease, none, and then make sure none is in quotes, add that into the snippet, and that way you don't get that little separation for a second or so. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here, so maybe we're okay there. All right, so let's now add the paper. I'm gonna come in here and add the paper. And in the paper, we'll grab the ID. We'll just go ahead and I'll leave the none for the paper here. I want this to be a little back out. So back is the kind of like bounces a little bit, but it goes a little bit further and comes back. And in is if you want this easing to apply at the start of the animation. Out is if you want it to apply at the end of the animation. In out is if you want to apply it at both start and end. So I'm going to do back out, and let's just see how this looks here. Let's go back into our position, and we're going to update that to 15. So come back into the Y position. Let's go ahead and do 15. Now I can copy that, come into my same trigger, because this is all going to happen at the same time. So I'm going to go into my same trigger, come down a couple lines, and there we go. Bring that up a line, and now it should all happen at the same time. Okay, so there's our folder. I'm going to click on that, and we have a problem. So for some reason, there is an error. So I'm going to go ahead and, and I think it's because I have the same name. I forgot to name that something different. So this is going to be paper. So it's kind of like competing with each other at the moment. All right, so let's go back into here. And now I'm going to just paste that in there. So we have our paper and so forth. Now let's preview this again. Okay, so it was a little choppy at first, so I'm going to start this again. And if it's a little choppy, it's because like Storyline is still loading or something. So you may want to give it a second and then click on the folder. And also when you publish it out, it's not as choppy. It's actually a lot smoother as well. Now, one thing we'd want to do is also return it, but also we have another problem. We have this important text that's actually being covered. So we'd probably want to fade that out. So what I'm going to do is come into here and then just click on the text, and we're going to grab the ID of that text. I'll right click on the bounding box. If you accidentally select inside of it, it does try to select the text. I'll click on the bounding box, and then I'll call this one text, the variable name. We'll paste in the ID. We're not going to update the position, and we're also not going to do the rotation, or sorry, the easing. So what we're going to do instead is the fade. So let's go back into position. I think it's actually under scale, and then we will just change that to 0. So now if I copy that and do one more line of code snippet here, we'll call this text. It's going to just fade it out essentially. Now I'm going to click OK, preview that out. So it does take a little bit of kind of targeting, figuring things out, copying the IDs, but it's not that long. Like when you're targeting different things, you just have to copy, get the ID, paste it into there. And it doesn't take, I mean, it does take a little bit of time, but after a while, it's just kind of going back and forth, copying and pasting in the code, and you get used to it pretty quickly. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on that folder. Notice how the text has faded out. If you want the text to fade out quicker, you could adjust the timing of that. So if I come into here and adjust the timing, what I could do instead of 1 second, I'll do so let's do 0.5. And so it'll be 0.5 seconds. And now that will happen a lot quicker. So let's go back into our execute JavaScript. We'll replace that last part of the code. And now let's see if that happens quicker. It happened a little bit quicker, not too quick. So I'd probably want to adjust it even a little bit more and do like 0.2 or something like that. But this is how you start to modify and target different things in order to get the animation that you want. You adjust different settings like opacity, you adjust different settings like easing to get the little bounce effect. If I wanted this to return, what I would do is add like a little toggle or something for true or false, and then toggle that on and off, and then just return it back to the initial numbers. So those are things that you can do in order to create these custom animations, and all just by adjusting properties inside of the GSAP Animation Tool. So you just go in and just adjust where you want it to go, and then it just goes there. You just copy and paste in the code. So hopefully that's useful for you. You can sign up for the GSAP tool for free. You can start targeting different objects, or you could just type in the code if you know the code as well. So pretty flexible there. You could even also, at the end of the animation, target something else. So GSAP, there's a lot that you can do. I do cover it extensively in my JavaScript and Storyline course, where I talk about a whole section of how the GSAP code works, and then how to use the tool, but also how to like manipulate the code yourself if you want to. So you can check that out. But also, if you like this video, head on over to my YouTube channel, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, as well as hit the bell notification so you get notified of all future videos as they come out. That really helps my channel, allows me to continue to grow, to reach more learning developers like yourself that want to extend and customize Storyline or Rise or other tools like that. Also, if you want to check out more, you can head on over to my website at learningdojo.ninja. I have other tools as well, like JavaScript snippet tools, certificate tools, coach tools, Dream Crusher tools, checklist as well. I have other full courses, JavaScript and Storyline, currently working on Vibe Code Fundamentals. I have Storyline 360. I have blog posts. You can check out all my previous blog posts of hours of training. You also have free templates, and you can join our growing community as well. That's all I have for today. So thanks everyone. I'll see you next time.